Yes, we are live on a Friday. What's going on, Coop? How you doing, sir?
What's going on? How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. It's a special one, man. You got a birthday that you're celebrating tomorrow. Happy birthday, man.
Oh, correct. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All day,
Blessings.
all day.
Good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we really were overloaded with new music today, right? Meek Mill dropped his album, and Lil Wayne dropped the album with Rich the Kid, which was interesting as well. I never saw that one coming. But Wayne continues to put out material in 2021, which is an interesting thing. Off top though, what did you think about that Meek Mill when you heard it?
Um, can I be honest with you?
Yeah, be perfectly honest. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure the people are
My
gonna be
first,
honest in here too.
my first thoughts were honestly like, how many women are you gonna have sex with on all these records?
It's funny you say that, and we hadn't even talked about this off line. But I
We
was
haven't had.
listening to, I
We,
forgot what song on here, but I was like, at what age does a person stop using terms like bad little bitch?
it was just. I was disappointed on a level because I looked at this moment for him as an opportunity to show growth because he's shown so much growth in his life. And I thought this album was going to be more reflective of it. So to hear him literally talking and using the same rhetoric as he was using when I first heard him, I was like, oh, I was like, I was a little taken aback by it, like, because the two best records on here, in my opinion, are the records with depth. Where he's not necessarily using the same, these niggas hating, I'm sleeping with her, and her
Right.
rhetoric.
Donnell Lee says, "What up, fellas? What up, Donnell Lee, man? You tuning in again? We're gonna get into a lot today. You know, to piggyback off of that, and we spoke about this when we were talking about Drake's Certified Lover Boy. It's like this deep in the game, you expect to see a little bit of growth. I think that with the album title in itself, Expensive Pain, I don't like that album title anyway. Like, I mean that what do they call
I
it?
don't
Like
like the
rich people problems? Nobody wants to hear
first
about that.
problems, first world problems, Mike.
Yeah, like nobody, especially, coming off of a pandemic, you got, people out of
We're not,
work. It's
hold
like, don't
on,
nobody
we're
want
not
to hear
coming off
that.
of it. We still in. We're not coming off of the
I'm
pandemic
sorry.
either. We still in.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
We're still in it. I apologize. Yeah, we're still in a pandemic, right? And yeah, it's not one of those things that people are like going to be empathized with you over. I get it. Artists got to express themselves, but I do think that in hip hop specifically, I think that's one of the pitfalls that successful hip hop artists fall into, where it's like you don't have much to talk about that you're not relatable anymore. You know what I'm saying? Donnell Lee said Meek played it safe. Same thing Drake did. His content and the album artwork were lackluster. I agree with that. When I first heard it, and with the "Hate Me Now," I guess sample of a sample, a recreation, I guess I'll say. The way he delivers on these records, it's so predictable. Like the style doesn't change, the style's the same. It's like, and you're not really saying too much. And like you said, Coop, to piggyback off of what you're saying, everything that he's got involved with when it comes to criminal justice reform and just him being taken seriously as a political figure on some levels, it's like there's an opportunity here for a little bit more depth.
Okay.
Opportunity
So
squandered. Go ahead.
I'm home right now, so I want to segue. So I gave my daughter and I to have another one of our talks
Mm-hmm.
for review, and she's familiar with me, and so her take was nothing's been made since 2018 that was actually really dope as far as like anything. And I immediately thought to that, well, a lot of that has to do with his criminal problems. And here's where I realized here's where the justice system, and getting wrapped up in the justice system on whatever level hurts you as an artist. It makes you fall off in the eyes of a younger generation because this time that he spent doing this, my daughter's next thought was he's not as relevant as he used to be, and community work does not equate to relevancy. Like, as in, there are people who do community work all the time who don't get any sort of recognition. So your community work and all that good actionable things, although they're good and they're actionable, it's not something that enhances you as an artist musically in terms of what you bring to the table for the next generation.
Well, I think you just spoke to something, not to cut you off, but I think that when you're relevant for reasons outside of music, it makes it even tougher when you drop your music. Like, it helps when the music is why you're relevant, right? I think championships, what your daughter's speaking to on from 2018, I think they played it super safe with that. He had every collaboration of anybody who was anybody in 2018. They had all the notable samples. I mean, you had "Feel It in the," not "Feel It in the Air," "In the Air Tonight," Phil Collins. You had "What's Beef" with Jay and Rick Ross on it. You had a Drake feature, which was a single. You had a Cardi B feature. Like, so that doesn't help you in the long run when in 2021 you don't have all that help.
Hey, you want to know what, Mike? I was thinking when you listed those artists and those samples, I was thinking that's some expensive pain right there, because that album didn't go like that.
It didn't. It was hot for a second. It kept him above water as far as, like you say, relevancy, but it wasn't something that carried over when we talk about 2018, which was a pretty heavy year hip hop wise. It's not an album that we think about off top. You know what I mean?
No, Mike. I mean, outside of Glow Up, there's nothing on there that I necessarily remember from him that I think is like high level. It was average. It was an average album.
Do you think that, and I say this respectfully, you know what I'm saying? Do you think that as an artist and as a lyricist of his generation, you think Meek Mill is slightly overrated?
After this album, I would have to lean more towards that, because I think just about I think about the content and what his subject matter is, and there hasn't been an evolution of it like we're talking about. And if you're not going to evolve with that rhetoric, you need to do it at a high level, like to bring up a past group like a Mobb Deep, or to bring up now Griselda. You know.
Shout out to K Thompson.
High level.
Shout out to K Thompson in the room. He said salute us. Donnell Lee brings up a real good point. He said artists with these big budgets can't afford to play it safe, Mike. I disagree if you meant can. I don't think they can afford to play it safe, because like you said, they got to get hits when it comes to, coming with these big budgets, big samples, big collaborations. So Meek Mill and the limelight, or just the spotlight that's been put on him, for lack of a better term, he's kind of been forced to play it safe. We've never really heard Meek Mill really be able to go out there and be raw. I was just listening to A$AP Ferg's project. What was the name of that project? Anyway, he started with the song that collabed with Meek Mill. Was it not Dollar in the Dream? It'll come to me in a minute. But Meek was spitting on there.
You talking about who's scared now? Off the game on G piece? No.
No. A$AP Ferg. I'm about to pull it up in a second. If somebody in the room know what it is, let me know. It was on the I'm drawing a blank. It's like anyway. Oh yeah, it was on the Still Striving. The Still Striving mixtape, Trapping the Dream. And Meek was spitting on there. But it's like one of those things where it's like, I think Meek might actually be better in a group setting. Do I want to hear 3 verses from Meek? Because let's keep it real. The strong song that people talk about from Meek is the intro. And that's 1 verse.
I thought Glow Up was his best record. It was 2 verses, a very strong hook. It had a melody and a beat and an energy that was perfect. It was in the pocket form. But yeah, the intro is the record. So
I don't think that, we don't have a lot of groups, duos, and all that in this era. It's like everybody's solo dolo. And, I was talking to somebody, I was talking to my homie Brandon yesterday, I think it was, and we were talking about Nori and how Nori was in CNN and what he was like when he was doing features and collaborations. It was like, I thought Nori was nicer than I thought he was when I started hearing him with 3 verses. I mean, I say that respectfully, but it is what it is. It
No,
takes a
Mike.
special person to have to put down 3 verses. I don't know if Meek is that.
No, Mike. I mean, and people forget this. There was a time for a moment where Noriega was the hottest dude in the streets of New York.
Yeah.
And I remember all those verses that you're talking about, Mike. And also, too, I mean, his first album is a really, really dope hip hop record, Mike.
It
Like
is.
that's a really solid 4 out of 5, possibly higher. I would probably put it at like a 4.25 if we're like breaking them in quarters. And so, like I tell people, it's hard. Like I keep trying to tell people, writing a rap song is one of the hardest things to do in music because of our format and how much is pressed into the format.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you take Meek's style in this format, he has to do a whole lot to succeed. Just off on a technical basis, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Just because of his style and how rapidly the words are flowing and coming out. He has to do more writing than the average MC.
And look at his peers. K. Thompson's just bringing up people. He said, where do y'all rank Meek in his class between Wiz, Wale, Big Sean, ASAP? I don't know if you're talking about Rocky or Ferg, but if we talking about music, I mean, I think the only person whose music I wouldn't put ahead of him, maybe Wale, but I think Wale might make better music than me.
He does.
We could talk about Wale's single too with the whole Vibrant thing and all that, but yeah, I mean, I mean, as far as full projects, and you factor in the help or lack thereof, I think I like ASAP Ferg's music better than I like Meek's. I know I like ASAP Rocky's music better than I like Meek's. I like Wiz Khalifa's music more than I like Meek's, and I like Big Sean's music more than I like Meek's. And these ain't even the quote-unquote heavy hitters of this era that we talk about, right?
Okay, so I don't know if I love any of those guys, like love them. And so it allows me to be objective. I can't say he has a better catalog than any of the guys that you just named.
Yeah, I don't think he does.
I mean, I can't say that. Like, for the way Meek has been promoted and projected, you would think I'd be able to say that off the top of my head. Is what I'm saying.
You know who I think is understated in this generation? I know people don't like him for certain things he said and the way that he carries himself, whatever. But ASAP Rocky, man, what he's done in his career, I don't think people really give a lot of credence to. Even that whole ASAP mob and that whole movement, that shit's on his back. He made it out of New York with a sound that wasn't New York at the time. Now it is. And got no support from New York radio or anything. It had a cult following. He still has a cult following.
No, I mean, he's a cult legend status, wouldn't you say at this point? Yeah.
And, oh yeah, Rihanna's his girlfriend.
Well, we're going to talk about all that because Rihanna came up in my daughter and I conversation. I was surprised at some things. So, yeah, we're going to get off into that whole dynamic a little bit, too.
I mean, Rihanna knows, you know what I'm saying? She knows that ASAP is that nigga like that. It is what it is. So, I mean... Because, like, Mike, when's the last time ASAP's done something that you would consider to be relevant? Like, for us, it's probably more relevant because we're more willing to wait than my daughter's generation, but how relevant has he been in the last 5 years? This is what I'll say about ASAP Rocky in relation to his peers. I think he's the only one that really developed and maintained a cult following. He didn't need the commercialized things to be who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like that same... Do you feel that way about Travis too? Travis has a cult following. I think he's a little bit before Travis. I don't really put Travis with all those people that, his names. But yeah, if you add Travis in there, yeah, Travis has that cult following too. Yeah. No, I agree. TJ said Meek killed Lemon Pepper Freestyle, but overall, I would say that he's trending towards overrated for a while. Oh, K. Thompson's bringing up some other good names. Mac Miller, Joey Badass, Big Crit. I have them over Meek in his class. That's tough. Well, I'm going to tell you what my daughter said. She said, falling off is falling off. I will say this. I think that the Mac Miller is an interesting comparison because they both come from the state of Pennsylvania. They both came out around the same time. They both respectively have their following, and have
Mhm.
I don't they haven't done a song together. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I
I'll
feel
put
like they have.
I'll put it
I
this
feel like
way.
there's.
A lot of the things that, and not to interrupt you, but a lot of the things that we were knocking Meek for, not digging deep and not being, vulnerable on the mic and to the point where people feel you, Mac Miller did those things.
Okay, so I want to talk about the vulnerability or lack thereof, because you want to know what I heard. I heard somebody that's just not vulnerable as an MC at all, and I want people to understand this. But vulnerability as an artist, like needs to exist in order for a certain sort of level
I
to
think his
exist. You
style
have to.
gets in the way of that too. I think he needs to slow it down. You know what I mean?
Okay. So somebody who we're going to talk about later has kind of subtly slowed down his flow a lot over the years. He's just maintained the composition of his flow, and that's AZ. AZ raps slower than he used to, Mike,
Mm.
but the composition of his style is the same because he has worked on his craft and he knows how to freak it. Like the way he's rhyming on 99 Avarex, that's a beat tempo wise. It's more like more money, more murder, more homicide, like tempo wise. But he slowed down and learned how to craft it and craft his style in it differently. And Meek hasn't done that. And you're right.
You know why I think Meek goes with such a rapid flow and flashy style? Because it feels like he's not saying much.
Well, so let's get back to the vulnerability. You want to
Mm-hmm.
know what, Mike? When you go to the greatest MCs of all time, almost all of them have a vulnerability at some level or show a level of themselves that really makes you think or understand the person better.
Right.
I think there's some guys I don't have to explain, like Nas, like Tupac. But Mike, I mean, Ghostface made All That I Got Is You. Like Ghostface is a very poignant MC at discussing things about him. All I Got Is You is just the biggest evidence to it. And Ghost is a big braggadocio rapper. You know what I mean?
Look, yeah, you're right. We don't even
Very
have to go
vulnerable.
all the way to Ghost. Let's look in Philly, right?
Right.
Let's look in
Okay.
Philly. Let's look
Okay.
at what Beanie Siegel was able to make us feel. And
I
this is
was,
somebody
I
who,
was,
yeah, this is somebody who directly, Meek Mill, I mean, you have to think, from the generation he's from, looked up to, right?
Mike, if you was an MC around that time period, you looked up the Beans. You didn't have to be from Philly to do that. He's
Mm-hmm.
nice like that.
Right. And so, I mean, even with, and I say Beans because of Beans' style, right? Like the way Beans approaches a track, and like it reminds me of how Meek Mill was doing in his battle days. When you look at those DVDs, and just stylistically, it meshes with that. And a part of Philly MCs is really making you feel what they're saying, like the emphasis on things. Like this whole
Right.
flow, let's keep it a buck, man. I'm gonna keep it all the way real on the show tonight. That's Ace Hood's flow. I don't know where that flow came from in me, but it doesn't work well with, what he's trying to convey and his overall growth.
You could be right, but you also said something about like how Philly cats rap. Like, and a lot of people don't even understand this about Thought. Like Thought is one of the great enunciator and finishers of bars. Like
Mm-hmm.
when Thought finishes a bar, boom. You know what I'm saying? It's just he's so stylistic and so lyrical, you miss it. But Thought punches the mic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's a Philly thing. You know what I'm saying? Even from its most, culturally and artistically diverse MC. No. He still be punching the mic.
Right.
Like that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come and hit it, even if it's going to be stylistic. And so there's ways to craft it. And so it's funny that we keep having this conversation. It just sounds like he hasn't worked on his craft, Mike.
No.
And we've been having this conversation about practice way too much this year with like cats that we know got talent. It just sounds like he's not doing it as often. And it's like, and that goes to another thing of a level of greatness. It's like, oh, well, you can pull that off when you're a certain level of great and have these other endeavors and affairs, but that's never been him. And so
maybe he just doesn't have it.
Right. He doesn't have what Scarface has or Ghost has or Nas or Pac. I mean, even Big on Sky's the Limit. Miss You. You know what I'm saying? Everyday Struggle.
Yeah.
You know, like even Jay when he talking about hustling, he got Friend or Foe, he got The Evils. Mike, those are really personal records. They some hustling ass records, but they personal.
Yeah. And just for the style and the story, because that was the thing. Let's keep it a buck. They sold us, sold many in the masses on Meek Mill's story. And his music has yet to follow up on that story in a very detailed way. Like if we look at Conway's verse on The Cow, we're looking for something like that from me. You know what I mean? At least in a moment. You did live this, right? You know what I'm saying? If you lived through, I don't know if you saw that documentary that they did about Meek Mill and everything that happened with him and his whole issues with basically Philadelphia Police Department and the judge and all that stuff. He's been going.
I read some stuff.
He's been going through it, man.
I read an article, I think that the Washington Post or somebody had done about it, like detailing like the litany of things that he had been through, which have been pretty long and fairly egregious in a lot of the circumstances.
It's been very long. It started when he was really, really young. He was brutalized by the police over there. And, they tried to frame him, all this stuff. I mean, obviously, that affects people in different ways. And maybe he just isn't ready to go there. But it's a shame that it took a documentary for me to be able to find those things out in detail when he's an artist and an MC and all of that. But
he's got talent, Mike. It's not like he's not gifted.
He's got it. You know what I'm saying? He's got talent. But yeah, he just hasn't been able to execute on his talent. And maybe those things have affected him to the point where, he just doesn't want to talk about it. And that's fair too.
So let's go to Philly Cats rapping fast again. And you probably don't remember this, Mike. This is some true head stuff. Like Beans talked about how for the Becoming, and like somewhere between the process after making The Reason, he made The Truth and he made The Reason. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in between that time, Mike, he started doing what Jay and Big did. He stopped writing his rhymes. And when you listen to him on The Becoming, it's the best he's ever sound because he slowed down a little bit and his flow is ridiculously sick. But because he has a downshift gear now, it makes the speed up sound so much better. So you get records where you can tell that he's freaked the style and the results are glorious, like Feel It in the Air. That's not a record that Beans delivery-wise could make on his first two projects because of how he would punch the mic.
That makes sense.
When he stopped writing, there's an article, it's in the source or XXL. He's like, yo, when I stopped writing, my flow got much sicker. You hear it on The Becoming, but you still hear the same guy that can punch the mic, like on One Shot Deal. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have that, it's not like it's leaving you or going anywhere. So you need to do other shit. And Beans understood that on the third album, and that album, Mike, is his best album.
TJ brings up Where Have You Been by Jay-Z and Beans. Very personal song. Yes. We've talked about this in the other show. We talked about this in the other show that, I think Beans, based on being in the situation that he's in, or was in rather, at Rockefeller, he did an incredible job coming out with nearly classic material because at the end of the day, nobody was going to get the best beats because Jay had to sign off on them. And it's what it is. Like, I don't think there's any great MC that's been in a situation where you have another great MC who has to sign off on every track that you're about to receive. You know what I'm saying? And so even with that handicap, which I would call it, Beans was able to put forth some incredible material. And I can only imagine if his situation were different and he were able to get beats that weren't signed off by a MC that's in his prime trying to create his legacy,
No, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Is like those are the first two albums where he's under Jay's thumb like that. Mm-hmm. He had Becoming on his own. I think Dame made
that was Dame. Yeah, that wasn't on Rockefeller, right? Yeah,
that wasn't on Rockefeller, Mike. That was clearly his best project. And go listen to the production on The Becoming as opposed to the first two albums. You can hear that the beats are clearly Mike. The album starts off with Feeling in the Air. That's one of the best beats he's ever rapped on.
Yeah, you're right.
Like as soon as it comes on, you're like, oh, they gave Beans some heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like before that, Mike, I mean, it's like most of the reason you was listening to Beans on the first two albums was for Beans. Like them beats wasn't like that. I think Stop Chill by Buck Wild was probably the best beat he had rapped over album wise by then. overall, maybe In the Club with Timberland, that beat was slapping.
You know who got some heat too, and we need to speak on him too, man. Freeway got some heat for Philadelphia Freeway, and he's another Philly MC that he had a
But
very
hold on, man.
flashy style, but he was able to actually bring it in and take you there. You know what I mean?
I thought the best beat on that album though came from a West Coast cat. That's All My Life. Bink did that.
That's the dope beat. But I mean, What We Do Is Wrong is the best beat on there. And you know what? Again, that nigga Freeway was rapping like his life depended on it. And he was giving you everything. See, I think Freeway might be a better comparison. Because with the flow style that Meek Mill's going for, that rapid flow, you telling me you can't give me a verse like Freeway gave on What We Do Is Wrong?
Hold on, Mike. Okay. So let's go to the depth right quick. Like Freeway said, probably more on that verse than we've heard from Meek in a few albums.
That's real.
That's real.
That's real.
And here's the reality of the matter: is like Jay and Beans like sewed that song up wonderfully for him, but you feel free.
Free came with that shit, man. Free it's has like, by far the best verse on that
he's
song.
Really about, like Mike, you be feeling like no, he gonna go rob somebody for real. Like y'all pay that man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Catch a nigga sleeping while he out in the open, and I'm gonna get him. We gotta raise our kids while we live and make $1 million from a niggas out of prison. Ah, yeah, he killed it, man. Everything is in there.
Nigga talk reckless and I hit him with the smithing.
And I never snitch and I'm a rider. If my kids hungry, stack the dishes out your kitchen. Yeah, he took it there.
Until they picked me out of lineup.
Stylistically, with this rapid flow that Meek is going for, there's no reason, if he's a dope MC and everything that he's been through, he can't give us nothing like that. I'm sorry. I mean...
No, Mike, I mean, at this point, because how old is he? Because we brought up Drake's age and relevancy to, and how long he had been in the game and relevancy to the subject matter too. And it's like, Mike, at this point, you know, you have blueprints for growth as an artist, Mike. You don't even got to go to Jay and Nas. Look at how Lil Wayne has grown as an artist.
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell people the dude that sung like Bling Bling and The Block Is Hot, like those records are dope. That's not the same guy.
Meek Mill's 34 years old.
Same age as Drake.
Yeah. So at this point, this is who he is as an artist. I think Championship is probably his peak. Again, nobody wants to hear about expensive, basically expensive problems. What do you call it? Expensive...
expensive pain.
Pain. Yeah.
I mean, Mike, which is one of the... Okay, so you want to know what's funny about this album is that, like, the two songs where he actually gets in depth are the two best songs, in my opinion, and that's Expensive Pain.
Mm-hmm.
And the last actual record that's not a bonus track, Halo, Mike. Halo is the best song on this album, and guess what it is? It's the most in-depth and personal and honest record on here.
Because this is my thing. I don't understand why Meek is going for bangers, because he's never been that person to give us bangers. Like, you want to be in the clubs, but it's like, that's not what you're... You know what I mean? Like,
Mike, Halo, the record Halo is evidence that he can get personal and craft a dope record while doing it and slow his flow down and change it up a little bit, Mike, because that was the first time I heard the flow switch up really on the album too, was the last record with Halo. I was like, up, he stopped right there. He did a little stutter step on the mic. I'm like, okay.
Rodriguez said Blue Note is fire. What do you think about that song? The song with Lil Uzi.
It's one of the better records on there. It is. Yeah, Blue Notes is one of the better records on there, but also too, it's like the territory is kind of hashed. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times are you going to talk about like what you do when you're out in the club, like every night? And then it brings in the fact it's like, okay, so like you do your social activism in the day, and then like thugging and clubbing and wilding and misogyny at night. It's like, what are we doing?
The Terminator, what's up? He said, yo, Mike Coop. Terminator says Meek is an album of the year contender. Why do you think that? I don't think that this is an album of the year contender. Alfonso Howard says Meek is not on Freeway's level and never will be.
Fascinating stuff.
Philadelphia Freeway is better than any Meek Mill album. I know some people are just now getting in the room, but yeah, I don't...
The first 5-6 records on Philadelphia Freeway are better than all of Meek's albums. Like those first 5-6 songs. Flip Side, what We Do, the free intro, all my life. Like, yeah, just that.
I don't think that... Where do you think that Meek fares in his class? Like, I guess his class is Big Crit, Um, let's just say ASAP Ferg, ASAP Rocky, Big Sean. Yeah,
That's not a Mike.
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I think the real conversation is Meek Mill and Wale, honestly, because I think both of
Okay.
them, both of them come from that camp, that Rick Ross camp, I guess, you know what I'm saying, because they both
I
were
want
with
to
other
say
people.
something.
And go ahead.
I don't know. I mean to cut you off. I want to say something, like because of how both of their careers has gone and how his has gone. Like in spite of theirs, like did we think too much of them because of Ross?
I think Wale had a lot of opportunities, man. Wale was with Mark Ronson first,
No,
first
no, I
rapper to
get
do a
that, but did
song
we
with
think too much of them off the strength of Ross?
possibly. I don't, but see, I don't associate Wale with Ross like that. Meek, I do. And you know
Neither
what?
does
Ti had
neither.
Meek first.
Hey, look. Neither does you say Wale doesn't associate himself with Ross. Well, he
I,
needs to
yeah,
because he made his best album under Ross's tutelage. So like he needs to be. Miami Nights is his best album, Mike.
yeah. No, I mean, I think Wale does. I just never associated Wale with Ross, maybe because they don't work together like
Stylistically,
that.
not
Yeah,
stylistically. No, I mean, but they're on stuff together. Like I mean, trap with Thug that way.
yeah.
Like no, him and Wale do records together.
I don't know, man. It's just something about Wale. I don't know if it's just the era that he is in and trying to mesh in with the era that he's in, but he doesn't sound like he fits on a lot of collaborations that he jumps on. Now, I will give Meek that. Meek does better collaborations with people of his era than Wale does. It
Okay,
has to be like some slow down, mellow stuff for Wale.
you know what I thought about? I thought about Common when I thought about Wale when you said the guest appearances. It's just hard for him to fit in with what a lot of these guys are talking about and doing on the song. Like that's why I always bring up Trap. It's one of those few times because he's on there with Ross and Thug, but he doesn't do what they do. He does what he does and sticks to his guns, and he flips it the right way and gets creative with it. And so that was one of those moments where I'm like, oh no, you can get on the track with them and like still shine, like because he's got talent. It's there.
Yeah. What did you think about the No Hands verse when he was on that?
The No Hands verse is what actually made me a fan of his, Mike.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought his verse on No Hands, I was like, I didn't know he had that in him at all. And so when he did that, like he showed me something. And even though the beat you could say has a little bit of a DC-ish, go-go-ish feel, like not enough, you know what I'm saying, that I was
Right.
expecting him to rock it like that. And that's what I mean. He's got gifts, like he can get on a song with Waka and get on a song with Thug and Ross and shine on those records. So like he's got gifts and talent. And so
He's better.
haven't seen with both of these guys, we haven't seen their actual full talents come to fruition. And that's why I bring up Ross and saying, hey, did we maybe overstate them because of Ross's strength and hand and stake in the game? And just the quality of production that comes with like you know what I mean? It's Ross. So you're like, man, this dude's about to be fire that these dudes about to get.
I think you're right. Rodriguez says Wale's mixtapes are fire. Yeah, I think Wale does a better job of making things internally, and where Meek doesn't do that, and Meek does a better job of going out there featuring on other people's things in ways that Wale doesn't do that. When I see Meek on when he got on Flex and did that freestyle not too long after, back to back and all that, and he was killing it. And that's the other thing I don't understand about Meek either, man. Like, how is that your response to back? You the battle rapper. And again, that was another letdown. It's just been so many different letdowns.
So Mike, how many MCs has he been in a battle with in the game outside of Drake?
No, it's real. K. Thompson says Ambition is better than any of Meek's albums.
That's what I meant. Not Miami Nights. Miami Nights is a song off Ambition. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's what I meant.
So
Miami Nights is like the second song on there.
I think everybody in this chat seems to be on the same page that all of Meek's peers have superior work.
No, Mike, I want to speak to something right quick. Mm-hmm. And this is very, very real. And this is what I mean about practice and doing the work. And that's why I brought up, well, who is he battled? Because he came into this game being known as a battle rapper from the streets of Philly. So that's a lot of cred. When people are talking about you're the best battle rapper in Philly, like that is high praise, Mike, in this craft. scene. That's
It's
high
a battle
praise in the
city.
rap scene. And at a young age, being that guy, I want you to understand that at his age, people thought higher of him than they did of Thought and Siegel at those respective ages, who were, in my opinion, clearly the two greatest MCs to come out of that city. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so listen to what I'm about to say. And here's what people have to understand. You can be the nicest dude on the corner of any city. It does not mean anything if you do not go into the booth and execute an album. Nas was the best MC in the largest hood in America. It means nothing if he doesn't make Illmatic. You feel what I'm saying? Right. And so like what some people need to understand and come to grips with is all that battle tested shit in the street live. That shit don't serve you as well in the booth in terms of making an album and making a official battle rap song on a major label industry record. It's not the same shit as battling on the corner. Right. I can just rap nonstop for 7 minutes and fade you on the corner. That shit not gonna work.
Well, you know what? It's like going out there, you know, playing in the park. You know what I'm saying? When a few people are watching and being out there in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. It's different.
Right. Okay, how about this? You remember when KD went to Rucker?
Yeah.
KD took like 21 3-pointers that game. He would never do that with money on the line. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. He would never take that many chances or that many shots from three. Like, did he play like that against Milwaukee?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's different. It's different.
He was pretty much down his other two best players, and still he didn't go in Rucker Park mode because he understands the level and the stakes of the game and the way the game got to be played is different. And if he going to take 21 threes, he need to make 18 of them for that to be okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know what? I think, you know, when looking back at the young Meek Mill, it kind of reminds me of, like, in Atlanta, what young T.I. looked like when nobody was watching, right? But when the cameras came on and when it was time to make an album, when it was time to do trap music, and when I say young T.I., I'm talking about after I'm Serious, right? When he was in the streets. But when it was time to make an album, he delivered. And
also too, not only did he not deliver, people forget this. After I'm Serious, there were a lot of artists down here that were bigger than Tip that he was on the circuit with and doing songs with. Young Guns were bigger than him. Bone Crusher was bigger than him. Like
everybody. Killer Mike was bigger.
Right. Almost everybody who you heard Tip with on before trap music was bigger than Tip.
Pastor Troy was bigger. Everybody was bigger.
And trap music happened. That was over.
Yeah.
Guess what? You know what he did?
He changed the landscape.
He went in the booth, made an album. He made a great album. That's why I be telling people the catalog is the biggest thing in the bag, because making a classic rap album will change your life forever.
But not only did he make a great album, he had like those mixtapes that were building up to it. Those In the Streets Volume 1, In the Streets Volume 2. He didn't go in there with trap music and sit there and rely on how highly acclaimed his mixtapes were. He made sure that the album was better than the mixtapes. And I think that, you know, that's something that Meek has yet to do. Because his Dream Chaser mixtapes still are his calling card.
You're right. No, you're right.
Let's switch subjects, though. So, you know, what are we giving this album out of a 5?
And my immediate thoughts were a 3. I'm going to listen to it again. You know, I'm out of town, and so I've been flowing a little bit. So I had to listen to it a little compartmentalized and then go back and listen again and skip through some stuff to kind of like make sure I was hearing what I was hearing. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give it that third listen, but right now I'm leaning on 3.
I'm looking at a 3, too. Well, it was announced yesterday that Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Eminem, and Kendrick Lamar are going to be doing the halftime show at the 2022 Super Bowl. And listen, I posted like one of my Facebook statuses from like 2016, and I was like, for the 5th year in a row, I want Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg to do the Super Bowl halftime. And you know, that's finally happened. I'm just gonna keep it real. I don't think we need Mary, Eminem, or Kendrick on the bill like that. I would have loved it if it was Dr. Dre and Snoop's halftime show and all of those people make feature appearances or something like that. But when I see these 5 people on the halftime, I guess, flyer or whatever for Pepsi, they got Dr. Dre in the middle, so okay, it's his, right? But how many songs is Mary going to be able to do? How many songs is Eminem going to be able to do? And is Kendrick going to do half a song? Because you got to think, Snoop and Dre are going to take much of the stage. I mean, it's only 30 minutes.
Has Mary done the Super Bowl before?
I haven't seen her at a halftime show. I don't think so. Oh, Andrew brought up the elephant in the room. He said he need 50 in game reunion. Well, my question was, why is 50 excluded from this anyway?
Hold on. That is a valid question. Why is Game excluded for this? Is he not big enough?
I guess he's not big enough. But 50 Cent, all right, let's just keep it real. Mary J. Blige is there with Dre, which is interesting because I thought that was Diddy's artist. Let Diddy tell it.
No, I mean, Mike. All that means is that they needed something R&B related to throw in Dr. Dre's catalog. And so, with that being said, it's either do "Blow Your Mind" with Eve and Gwen Stefani, or do "Family Affair" with Mary J. Blige. And so
they're going to do "Family Affair."
The Mary record is getting done. It's "Family Affair."
Of course, but where I was going to go with that is we all know "Family Affair" is a knockoff version of "In the Club." So why isn't is "In the Club" probably not the biggest record out of all of these artists? Possibly
not Snoop.
Not Snoop. Okay. Who else got a bigger record than "In the Club"?
Snoop.
I'm not counting Snoop. This is Snoop and Dre's show. I'm really talking about Mary.
Everything released as a single on Doggy Style.
I'm really talking about Mary, Eminem, and Kendrick. Are they supposed to be on this bill over 50 Cent?
Supposed to be? Mary, yes. Kendrick, probably no.
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with this being Dre, Snoop, Mary, Eminem, and 50. Kendrick's here because I guess he's putting out some music, and this is a lot more pressure on Kendrick than it was already there.
You think it's pressure?
Oh, yes, this is pressure. Because you know what? He's going to have to put this music out. He's going to have to put new music out. Do you believe he's going to put new music out before this Super Bowl appearance?
I do, and I think it's going to be much sooner than you do. I think the latest that we're going to hear something is 2 weeks before the Super Bowl.
Nah, I think that Rodriguez says it's also an LA thing, but Mary's from Yonkers.
Yeah, Mary from upstate New York. Like, no, it's not a no.
Yeah, it's not an LA thing. We're not gonna say that. And Marshall's from Detroit, so no. I mean, that's not a reason to exclude 50.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, what was I gonna say?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think that it's totally relational. I mean, they've never even really said it publicly, but it just seems as if Dre and 50's relationship is more based on their ties to M separately than their ties to each other. Haven't you always gotten that vibe?
Yeah, if 50 comes out, it's going to be because Eminem brings him out.
That's a possibility, too.
It is a possibility, and I hope it happens. M is probably going to do that. But again, I don't know how much time people are going to have because there's so many people on here. But back to Kendrick. They made a point to put Kendrick on this stage. I don't know. Why do you think Kendrick's there? Because obviously Dre and Snoop are Dre and Snoop, right? Eminem's going to be on there because he's Eminem. Mary's going to be there, to give it, like you said, that R&B twist. Why exactly is Kendrick there?
Put him on the table. Hold on one second, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you guys I think Kendrick's there because Kendrick's probably got some music on the way. And I don't think that Kendrick is going to drop anything further from that Super Bowl Sunday than that Friday. I think that the Friday leading up to that Super Bowl Sunday, we're probably going to get some new Kendrick Lamar music. And it's probably going to be that Kendrick Lamar album, the final Top Dog album that everybody is, I guess, waiting for, been anticipating. So, yeah, I think Kendrick's dropping in 2022. There's no other reason for him to be on this bill. And I think that it's probably going to come out the Friday before Super Bowl Sunday, so we don't have too much time to be critical of the new material.
I don't agree with that. And part of what my daughter said earlier is part of why I will say that he's officially relevant to two separate generations. And so he has been the artist, hip hop artist of his generation. He's officially relevant to two separate generations. And so I am going to say he deserves to be there because I'm going to go back to what else did I say? What's the biggest thing that a rap artist can have in his bag? His catalog. And so he has that. And
He got a Super Bowl catalog though, because again, we're talking about
hold on, enough to do all right and be out the same way Mary gonna do Family Affair and be out the same way M gonna do Lose Yourself and be out.
No, that's real. That's real. I think he's gonna do all right, and then probably half of his new song and be out. But the thing is, too, I mean, the other underlining thing in this is the fact that when do people get cool with people doing the Super Bowl again? I thought everybody was against the NFL until Kaepernick got a job, because Big Boy caught all kind of shit for doing the halftime show in his hometown of Atlanta, and somehow this is all cool. So I guess they got Kendrick on there to be the pseudo protesting rebel MC in the situation. So he'll probably do the uplifting, basically black empowered, all right, and probably come out there kneeling. The nigga might even come out there in chains in a prison suit. Who knows? But that's
very shady. That's shady.
That's what he did. He did that at the Grammys.
Did you not think that was a great performance?
It was cool. I don't like that imagery, but you know, the performance was good.
No. Unpack that right quick. Tell me what you didn't like about that imagery on stage.
I think there's a way that could have been done in a more tasteful manner. I get it, but I think that it's theatrical in the sense where it's almost like, you know, when you're continuously getting slave films, right? We don't, on the Grammy stage, we don't need that. You know, again, that's just my personal opinion. If that's what you want to do,
okay,
cool. But I think everything about Kendrick and his catalog and even his visuals sometimes are over the top theatrical. I feel like I'm watching a play.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the theatrical part of it, and it may be being overplayed. Here's what I'm going to submit to you. Hollywood has a bad history about depicting us in only a slavery or indentured servitude driven lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And the Grammys, when have you ever seen a rap artist of his stature on that platform address the reality of the prison industrial system complex? Like, when have you seen it done by artists of his stature?
I get it, but it's one of those things where, oh man, Coop just went away. And he was making a good point. I wanted to go into some of the comments because y'all are making some really good points as well. Rodriguez says, after Jay-Z associated with the NFL. I mean, but is that a good thing? We got Coop back. I was just reading the comment, and I'm going to answer your question too. Rodriguez said after Jay-Z associated with the NFL, that's what made this okay. Now, is that a good message, though? Is the fact that, so the NFL says, you know what, we could just sign Jay-Z on, and he can go out here and basically tell everybody we're past that, and everything is good.
Well, you got to stop letting that man dictate the pace. That's what I'm saying. No man should set the tone or the tempo for this culture.
People should be able to have their own mind.
No. Until he or she proves themselves to be at least as infallible as previous leaders who have held that position before. And Jay's not that guy, so that's all y'all's fault.
But the thing is,
Mike, I never necessarily bought into that, and a lot of reason why I never bought into it, it's like, well, why y'all doing this shit? Because Jay doing it. Like, who is he? He's not Malcolm X. He's not Dr. King. He's not Marcus Garvey.
Listen, if you want to put on a shirt because you think the nigga looks fly in it and all that, that's cool. But don't change your whole principles, because if you're standing for something and you feel like, yo, I'm not rocking with the NFL because this, and this, he shouldn't be able to be in a position to tell you, nah, that's over with. We done worked out something over here that you don't know the particulars of, but I'm telling you, trust me, it's over with. I mean, at that point, it's dangerous.
Right, but also, too, it's like, this is what I mean. It's like, people be following Puff and Jay when they have a history of leveraging their position only for their own benefit. It's like, are you not paying attention to that part of how their game gets played?
Because my thing is, man,
every time they're doing something, I'm looking the other way, Mike, because I know they're doing what's most beneficial for them.
They always have.
Not us.
They always have.
No, they have no history of putting us first.
Like they'll tell you in their music.
So you allow, you allow yourself to be skewed by these guys, and it's like, I look like a hater, but I'll be that.
No, Jay told you, man. I'll sell ice in the winter. I'll sell fire in hell. I'm a hustler,
right.
baby. I'll sell water to a well. I was born to get cake. Move on and switch plates. Come on, man. Was born to dictate. Never follow orders, dick face, get your shit straight. I mean, he told you, like, what it is. He's been telling you his whole career, look, I'm doing what I got to do for me. Now, anybody that follows that, that's on them. But it's wild to me that everybody was sitting here like, oh, this is the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, weren't y'all the same people giving Big Boy grief for doing a halftime show in his hometown? Like, look, I have no problem with any of it because, folks, if anybody's going to have a real problem with anybody, you should have a problem with the football players going out there playing, if that's your grief. But if they're going to play and there's going to be a game and there's going to be a halftime and you want to watch it, go ahead. But don't sit there and give one person flack for doing a halftime show a couple years before, and a couple years later, nothing has changed, and now it's okay. Because Jay sat down with with the commissioner and told you guys that we're past the kneeling process.
Hey, Mike, there's a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois that says, to deal with people, and it's just paraphrasing, pretty much to deal with people who are wild and untrained and uneducated and have no semblance of selves is to play with mighty fires. He pretty much says untrained and trying to tame an untrained and a weak mind is to play with mighty fires, is the quote. And that's what we have going on, like with a lot of this stuff. We just have a lot of weak and untrained minds, like period, point blank. Weak and untrained minds.
But not to go off on a tangent. And and you're right. Not to go off on a tangent, but I say all that to say I think that's really part of what Kendrick Lamar's involvement is. He's the conscious voice of this generation that is going to be added on this show.
Are you saying he's here to keep it from being too gangster?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh,
he's here to balance that out. So once again, we can move forward with the next. Because how believable would it be if Snoop Dogg went out there and kneeled?
Mike, you want to know what? Just because of what you just said, I don't want Kendrick, Eminem, or Mary there anymore. I want it to be a gangster party.
Yeah, let's just make it a gangster party. If we're going to be on some ignorant shit, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like...
Oh, right. Oh, Mike, I get what you're saying. They trying to sugarcoat the gangster shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no, fuck all that.
That's what I got. When I see this...
I'm sorry, Mike, I've been on vacay. I've been trying to enjoy, like, my 40th birthday weekend and all that. Mike, that's very valid. You're right. They're trying to sugarcoat this. I see what you're saying.
This should just be Dre.
This should just be Dre and Snoop. That's what you're
They got the catalog for it. Like, all these other people ain't even going to go out there and do anything.
Mike. Yeah. They got the catalog off 2 albums.
These other people ain't going to come out here and do anything. I mean, and they could pull in a Tupac hologram if they want to. We didn't see that.
What do you think the chances are that Nothing But a G Thing is the start-off song? Do you think that's a chance?
I'm pretty sure that's the start-off song, yeah.
Right.
The whole 1, 2, 3 into the 4, yeah.
So they're going to keep it a little gangster.
I mean, I would love to see a lowrider come out with Let Me Ride or whatever, you know, when they do that Parliament Funkadelic type of intro or whatnot, and it comes out on the hydraulics, kind of like the mothership used to come down. But again, when you got Eminem, when you got Eminem, Mary, and Kendrick, we're probably not going to see all that.
They got 20 minutes, right? They got 20 minutes?
Yeah, they got about 20, 25 minutes. So Mary's going to come out there.
You get about 5, 6 songs in.
Well, how many songs do you think Eminem's going to do?
Lose Yourself.
All right, so Eminem's going to do Lose Yourself and get off stage.
Mary, Family Affair, off stage.
Kendrick might close it out with All Right, just so people can say it was a powerful performance. And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, yo, I don't want to see the jail suits and shit, man. I don't, man. And I say that respectfully. You know, I like Kendrick. I like all of these people. But
so you're worried about his placement in terms of how they're trying to depict the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty high level thought, Mike. I'm gonna give it up to you on that. I wasn't thinking about it on that level. I was more thinking about it on the level of like they just, it does have to be friendly and formatted. So as soon as I saw Eminem and Mary, I was like, yeah, but I never really thought about Kendrick's place in it. To be honest with you, I thought he was more there because he's the current guy.
Nah, I think he's
Current
there
person in the
because he's the
lineup. Like
conscious
he's the
guy.
only current person in the lineup.
I think he's there because he's the conscious guy. But see, the halftime show never does current. They don't care about current, really. They're either gonna go all the way current or they're gonna go all the way another era. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't care about that. I think he's there because he's the conscious guy.
Prince and Mike are dead, and we don't know where Janet is, and they won't let her back. So we kind of stuck with Mariah, I guess, and that's no place to be stuck in. I must just stop talking. Go ahead, keep going.
Well, what I was gonna say too, man, like I think that. Not I think. I know they wish that Eminem could hold down the whole show itself, but Eminem just doesn't have the catalog.
No, don't conspiracy theory it out like that, Mike.
He's the most popular rapper of all time.
No, Dre and Snoop, even with Eminem standing there for anybody who knows anything, Mike, is still the headlining thing. Like Eminem is there to.
You don't think? Do you think? All right, you don't think people would want Eminem to headline a halftime show? You don't think he has a strong
who's standing
enough
in the middle of that picture?
Dre. You know what? And I'm not trying to be funny. I don't like how far you looking at the picture. I don't like how far Snoop is from Dre. Pause. I don't like that. They got Snoop as a backdrop.
I found that to be very problematic.
I don't like that. Ain't no tenure. There's no reason that should even be in that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like.
But there is a reason that Dre.
Why is Eminem right there next to Dre like that? Like really?
No, but here's what I was kind of speaking more to who Dre really is.
Of course.
Like, even for Eminem being like who he is and what he is, like, you know what I'm saying, selling all these records and being the biggest selling artist ever. Don't nobody think that Eminem's bigger than Dr. Dre outside this community or inside this community, because everybody know where Eminem and Snoop and Ice Cube and 50 and Game and Kendrick, like Mike, everybody know. It ain't no secret. It's a worldwide known thing that he's the man.
Rodriguez says Snoop is the most popular rapper of all time next to Pac. I'm not, you know what? I'm not against that. I think Snoop is more popular. Snoop is more popular. I misspoke. Eminem is, he's just sold more. You know what I'm saying? I meant popular in that. But yeah, Snoop is.
He's going to move more units in a country where the demographic is over 60% white.
No, real. No, it is what it is. I'm just saying, like, numbers-wise, because, they go on numbers. Eminem actually, as a performer, of all these performers, let's keep it real, wouldn't he gain the biggest purse? If we're talking, like, as a promoter, who do you think would cost the most to get? Dre is really not a performer like that, right? Like, so you're never really going to get him out the studio. I don't count him. But out of Snoop, Mary, Kendrick, and Eminem, as a promoter, who do you think you're going to have to pay the most to get?
Hold on. Do you think... So you think Em would sell out a stadium before Mary?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Isn't that who Jay-Z did his little stadium run with? Eminem?
Correct.
Yeah, it is what it is. I ain't saying that's right, whatever, but like you said, it's a 60%, 65, 70%.
Actually 65. It's actually 64 to 67% right now based on
it's just a numbers game. But yes, I will say that Snoop is the household name, but I just find it interesting that Snoop is so far back. Maybe because he's taller. I don't know.
See, but this is what I mean about Dre, though. It's like Dre's in the center. Because for as great as all these people are separately, you know who they tied to? The guy in the middle.
Drake made it happen, with the exception of Mary, to keep it real.
So that's
Mary was married before Drake.
So how do you feel, like, because here's how I could see it happening. Dre's the real boss in this. They came to Dre and asked Dre to do this and asked him how he wanted to put it together. And because he's not close to 50 and that relationship is more based on him, 50's out. And probably because of politics and lack of a broad-based audience for this type of stature, Game is out. Kendrick's your current guy. M's your numbers guy. Mary's your safe play to get people to dance to an R&B record.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. And
so it's not so rapidy rap.
And I'm saying this to say with those three people, because you better not call Dr. Dre on the stage and not give me Snoop Dogg for the Super Bowl. Like, you better not ever do that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it should really just be Snoop and Dr. Dre's show, but I understand Eminem and Mary being there. And
see,
I
Mike,
understand
at that point, I'm gonna get a certain type of way and be like, do deep cover.
Yeah, man. I mean, but again, I would have loved if it was just those two guys, right? And you'd be like, in Friends or something, and all these guys can come out, but. Does everybody have to? Because we see who this is centered around. Does everybody have to be on this ad?
Hold on. So that's what I'm saying. I think Mary, M, and Kendrick are getting 3 songs, but I think that there's probably going to be 5 to 6 songs performed, which means it is Dre and Snoop and Friends. Like, I feel like Dre and Snoop are going to get their 2 to 3 together, and then everybody else is just getting 2 to 3 total.
You know what? I would like if they did it like that, kind of like what you're saying, where this is Dre's show. And so Mary will come out there and maybe do like a singing hook for one of Dre's songs, or Eminem will come out and they do Forgot About Dre. I'm pretty sure Kendrick's not going to do Compton, you know what I mean? But still, something like that where it's centered around a performer. Right. I'll put it this way. Dre does a very great job. I mean, he's probably one of the best, period, at putting together a show. And I think I've said this before. Dre and Snoop are probably 2 of the best performers ever in hip-hop. And that's because of how well they put together a show and how massively these songs come through the speakers. And I know they're going to put it together right. But, I guess these are the visuals.
So the way this show really needs to go is that Mary needs to start it off. Kendrick needs to go after Mary. M needs to go after Kendrick. And Dre and Snoop need to shut it down. That's how it should be.
Like, well, what if they're there the whole time, though? What if it's one of those things where, like, you remember when Truth Hurts came out there and was doing, like, that little Let Me Ride intro or whatever? What if Mary's doing that, right?
And they're all going to stay on stage?
Yeah, and they incorporate,
Go ahead and do Bitch Please, too. Go ahead and do it.
I don't, you know how I feel about Bitch Please, too. I want to hear the first one. I don't want to hear the second one.
Listen, you definitely not playing Bitch Please at the Super Bowl 1 or 2.
I forget where we're at. I'm just looking at the artist. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But, I don't know. I just want to see how it's going to come together. But I do know this. I know that Kendrick has new music coming. And I think that even though we were talking about the pressure-packed situation that this has been, and the fact that he had come out since 2017, adding a Super Bowl performance on top of that is even more pressure. Especially a Super Bowl performance with these 4 legends.
Also, now Eminem's a legend to you?
Eminem is a legend. I'm not a fan. I think he's super overrated, but you can't do everything that you've done in the...
I have you live on tape calling Eminem a legend?
Eminem's a legend.
Okay.
He's a legend.
I just wanted to hear it out loud.
And, and I also say this on tape. Young Thug's a legend, too. So,
So, Mike, that might be a great segue into my daughter's Who's Current with Us Younger Generation list.
Go into that. That'll probably carry us out. I know we were going to get out of here, in a few minutes anyway. Go for it.
Do you have any final thoughts about the Super Bowl, Mike? Because I told you I'm still kind of ambivalent. I'm kind of waiting to see what they want to do with it, Mike. I'm not even going to lie to you. When Prince performed at the Super Bowl, that's the last time I watched the Super Bowl show from beginning to end. I don't be watching this shit.
K. Thompson made a good point. He said, don't Kendrick and Mary have a song together on Good Kid, Mad City? Yes, they do. So, yeah, if they put together the show like that, I think it'd be great. But I think that my final thoughts here is this is going to add a lot more pressure to an already pressure-packed situation for Kendrick's new album. I think he's going to drop that Friday before Super Bowl Sunday. And it's going to also put him in a good position for Album of the Year 2022 talks.
That's because why he's setting I don't like it, Mike. Up. It's him playing it safe again. This is a tough year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he got nothing for KD too.
No.
And so I'm gonna say this now.
Go for it.
If he don't drop this year, he's officially playing the game of running and ducking and hiding. And I'm going to say it so you don't have to say it, because I know you're already thinking it, because every one of his albums, although they're all great, have all dropped in weak-ass years. Yeah. And I know he just saw the strong year that last year was and the strong year that this year is, and he's thinking next year is his best shot. We're not handing out no hall passes anymore. He needs to drop this year.
Yeah.
We need to hear some heat.
And, I don't want to play that game where it's
Mike, because he's smoking on your top 5, remember?
Of course. That's the thing.
Smoke this year then, my G, because you said that in August. Come smoke on it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. We don't hand out hall passes.
No, man. I mean, because this is not coincidental,
we be up here blasting the Source, Pitchfork, these whack-ass rappers. No. You ain't never dropped no album in no strong year. This is a strong year. We need to hear your shit now. I want to hear you up against Westside and Conway and Pusha and Nas. No more exceptions. No more excuses. No more excuses. You're right, Mike. If you push it back, I'm going to take it like, oh, no, you running and ducking and hiding. Like, you heard KD too. Yeah. You were working on your project. You ain't have no smoke. You pushed your shit back. And that's exactly what I'm going to come up here and say.
Yeah.
Every day.
It is what it is. And it's like, dude, the one thing, like you said, you talking that smoking on your top 5, dropping a heavy year. And I don't want to hear that whole, he be out in the middle of space. He don't have his cell phone for months. He don't know what's going on. What's going on. Stop.
No, Mike. I was actually, Mike, since we were talking about him earlier, I was thinking about Beanie Siegel, and I don't want to hear that bullshit. I ain't mean it.
But you know how in that letter he was like, I ain't had my cell phone in months and blah, blah, blah. He putting the notion out there that he don't know what's going on out here. You know what's going on out here. Stop it, man.
He out here sounding like De La Soul in 1991. Like, what is this?
Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, that was my closing thoughts.
Those are mine. Had some extra ones. Okay, so check this out. So, Thug's name came up because Thug is still current and relevant to this generation. Mm-hmm. Lil Baby was the first name that came out of my daughter's mouth.
Okay, so this is your daughter. I guess let the audience know, like, what I'm saying, as a hip-hop fan, where she is with it. She's in 9th grade?
She's in 9th grade, first year of high school.
Okay.
But this isn't just her. So, like, when we're having this conversation, she's going through TikTok and other people's TikToks and her friends' TikToks and stuff and, like, pulling up the records. And she's like, so off the top of her head, she was like Lil Baby and A Boogie with the hoodie. Like, she said that without looking anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they popping right now. She said Thug. She said the still popping even he messed up. Kodak. Like she said, Travis, I told you when we had the Stargate and the whole Astro World conversation, when you make classic material, it stays with people. Astro World came out when my daughter was in middle school, but she's in high school now, and she said Trav. And we even told her, I was like, Trav's probably forever. She was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's what happens when you make an imprint.
Yeah.
I was surprised she brought up Tyler, the Creator. I've never heard her bring up Tyler, the Creator before.
Tyler's popping this year. So the kids ain't listening to me.
Mike, I told you, she said he's not as relevant as he used to be. Community work does not equate to relevancy. Plenty of people go out here and do community work and actionable things and don't seek any recognition. When she said it, I was like, damn, that's kind of, it's like, well, I was like, damn, I'm like, she's right. All right.
That's very insightful, man. You and your daughter got to do a podcast together about this music, man, and, do a quick little review. It'll be great.
I was thinking about that. We really need to find the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, when we got to the female, she's like, well, you already know who. I was like, Meg, Cardi. She was like, Nicki still too. I was like, yep, that's what I figured. I was like, you know who Armani Caesar is? She was like, no. I was like, that's very problematic.
Yeah, Armani Caesar's verse on the West Side B is crazy, man.
No, it is crazy. Yeah. Just in general, just of a couple artists. Speaking of which, Meg actually has a song that she did with the K-pop group BTS. It has like 50 million followers on all social media platforms. Right. She has a non-sexual song with them because they're not allowed. They don't do what she does, and so she has a record with them, and that speaks to her broad spanning appeal because they're the biggest band in the world right now, and they know who Meg is. And
that also speaks to the fact that you clearly don't have to be doing that, but you choose to do that and ram that down our throats.
I mean, and stuff like this is also why you got to pay attention to the younger generation. I would not know that Meg had gotten to the level of doing a song with a group like BTS unless my daughter told me today. You got to be paying attention to what's going on. She brought up, like, on the R&B tip, Summer Walk Summer Walker, SZA, Janae Aiko. We both agreed that Summer, SZA, and Janae are all toxic, but Janae's album was terrible. So she's at the bottom right now.
What about her?
I bought up her, and Asaya likes Her's album. She's like, but they not playing Her like that. And then I thought about it. I was like, there are a lot of adult themes on Her's new album, like trauma and process. So it may not be snapping with the kids like that. It's a little heavier. Because I bought up Her when she named SZA and Summer. I was like, no, Her. Because I think Her's album is arguably the best R&B album this year.
I think so too.
Yeah, me too.
Real quick, K. Thompson wanted to say something. He said, Coop, tell me y'all gonna review our NC brother Lutz album next week.
Who? Lutz?
Lute.
No. I know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
Is he dropping next week?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I mean, okay, so I'm going to say this and not being funny, and I'm sitting here at home in Charlotte right now. According to hip hop, is for the people and by the people. So we just need somebody not bigger than him to drop, so we can give him some coverage or some fade. We need his project to be strong enough that we just put him up first, because we really work according to what either the gravity of the artist does take some precedence. But a dope-ass project is a dope-ass project, Mike.
Right.
Like, we didn't plan on talking about Pray for Paris, but we ended up talking about Pray for Paris.
Same thing with the Sky Zoo thing, you know what I mean? Like, all the beautiful things, all the brilliant things is awesome.
Yeah, we've had plenty of weeks where it's like, yeah, we're going to talk about such and such, and then somebody dropped the album, and it's like, no, we talking about that shit right there. So if that shit right there is there, then yeah. Mike, I want to go to Rihanna right quick.
Okay.
Here's what I realized today. Rihanna is an icon.
She is. You realize that today? Yeah, Rihanna's an icon.
My daughter's sentiments about Rihanna and my sentiments about Rihanna are exactly the same. There are 25 years that separate me and my daughter. She's like, she been gone for 5 years, but we still waiting. I was like, and we are, aren't we? She was like, I want to put Beyonce in this conversation, but she's really not Riri on how she be hitting you on a personal level. I was
wow.
like, definitely, Mike. I'm like, this is my kid. I'm like, this is definitely my kid. And so, like, we had a whole Rihanna conversation, and we even got to talk about ASAP. He's like, what ASAP doing? He's like, well, he's dating Rihanna. I was like, well, that's pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, it really don't get no bigger. And then I thought about it, and it's like, Mike, and here's how big Rihanna is, and this is what I mean about how she's an icon. Oh, we on Kendrick ass about taking this long to drop. She didn't drop her out. She dropped her last album a year before he dropped his last album. Ain't nobody said a word, but hey, when you drop it, will you please drop? Can you drop? How you gonna drop? When
but
will
see,
you
the
drop?
thing
will you
is,
stop making lingerie and drop?
I was gonna say she has other things.
Drop
she has other things going on though, so people are a little bit more understanding of that. Kendrick's an artist, and
no, she's an artist too. Because here's what I tell you: like the last two albums that she did. No. The last two albums that she did are the reason people feel that way. There's bangers all over there.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I think that the Fendi being out there, people could see that that's taking up her time. With Kendrick, it's like, so.
No, Mike. What? It's taking up more of a bank account than it is her time. That's the problem. It's taking up more of a bank account than it is her time.
It just makes sense.
Rule 4080.
I mean, I can go into the mathematics of the music industry and all that, and every other industry makes so much more sense. So, yeah.
So that's why there's been no music.
Yeah.
Record people are shady.
But Kendrick doesn't have that excuse, so, you know.
No, he doesn't. I thought something today very, very quickly. My daughter brought up two people not related to our spectrum per se. Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, Bruno Mars, and Doja Cat. When she said Bruno Mars and Doja Cat, I said vultures. She said, I know. And that's when I realized, they know who the vultures are, and they kind of still don't care because the music is dope.
Well, on that note, man, let's get up out of here. I know you got a birthday to celebrate, man. Happy birthday to you, brother. And, man, you know.
No, Mike, we're almost done. I got a J. Cole Kendrick thing for you that I found fascinating that my daughter said. Listen to this. First of all, I put these guys together because I had no idea why they're still current, but she was like, they still popping. Usher, Future, Breezy, Kendrick, J. Cole. Listen to what she said, though. She was like, yeah, Cole's old stuff. I was like, Forest Hills Drive? She's like, no, before that. I'm like, Born Center? She's like, yeah, that's what we're into.
Oh, okay.
I found that to be fascinating.
What's the word on Kendrick?
She was like, no, Kendrick just more artistically and creative-wise gravitates with this generation more. But this generation feels Cole's older stuff, like the stuff we were listening to when he was first coming out, is the stuff they feel. I said Forest Hills Drive. She was like, no, before that. I was like, really? I was like, what do you even know about him before that? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also let me realize these kids be more onto the music than we know. Like she brought up, when I said Born Center, she was like, yeah, that's the one. I'm thinking like you're like 2 or 3 when that album came out.
Wow.
But Mike, I was 8 when the Greatest Adventures of Slick Rick came out. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's the thing, though. Yeah. Good music travels, man.
It traveled, yeah.
All right. Well, was that it, or?
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much the list. I mean, we had a whole bunch of sidebar conversations, but I kind of fit everybody in. Like, those are the people that are more current with this generation. When she said A Boogie with the hoodie, that hit me right quick. Oh, she hates to admit it. The NBA young boy is big, but nobody really seems to know why. Mike. Nobody seems to know.
No one knows why. It's crazy. He gets no major
like people
label
from her
support.
Generation know why. She was like, we don't understand it either. I'm like, y'all are the ones listening to it. What are you talking about?
He's huge.
He's massive.
All right, man. Well, you know what? We're going to do that midday Wednesday. And, enjoy your birthday weekend, man. Don't worry about no hip-hop. Play whatever you want. You don't have to critique anything.
No. I'm probably going to do a top 40 at 40 hip-hop playlist and put it on Spotify.
Okay.
And also, I wore this pink shirt today because I want everybody to exercise some awareness. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I lost my cousin, who is more like a big sister to me, to breast cancer 5 years ago, and she died during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You truly do not know what it does to you till it hits you close to home. Take a little bit of that disposable income that you spend on your extracurriculars and just slide a little bit over for the research and the development, so you don't have to feel the pain that my family and I feel this time of year specifically.
That's a great word, man. Where should people go to contribute?
Anywhere. You want to know it, Mike? You know I'm not for big corporations and organizations. Keep it local and find out what's going on progressively in your own community to like keep it alive. Like, information and education is the key to all things. You can always just donate randomly, but I encourage you to just get more educated and informed and see what you can really do on a personal level in your community to make things better. You know?
Well, that's a perfect send-off, man. And yes, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Everyone in the chat saying happy birthday, Coop. And,
appreciate that. Blessings.
And
rest in peace to my cousin Shonda.
Rest in peace to Shonda. And yeah, man, that's serious stuff, man.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, we will holler at y'all next week or in the middle of the week. Everybody have a great weekend.
Gang, 4-0.